Yes, guys, I'm back on the road. This is basically the concentration camp, the prisoner camp. This is Potocari. This is the funeral cemetery of the genocide. It's a very good memorial site, but I always say it's better not to have memorial sites, because if we do a just order and we make sure we create and keep peace and a fair and just world, because here the UN is there for that, but they failed. It must be based on NATO. I made it very clear now with my statement, and all these victims would be alive if NATO had intervened, like I personally said it in 92 already, 30 years ago. Even as a young student, I was for NATO intervention and for NATO membership. And it was a big mistake, we didn't do it back then. So many people died, and they will die, and they are dying in Ukraine because of the lack of NATO resolve. Intervention is the key. And look what Yugoslavia left in disaster. This is Yugoslavia for you. A complete disaster which ended up in fiscal collapse, in genocide, in war. This is what all socialist empires will end up into, because of the enormous injustice on which they are built. And you see that today it's not a coincidence that these people like Peter Hanske are defenders of genocide, because it's the ideological underpinning. You know? They prepare the ideological underpinning of genocide, because they start with this anti-Americanism. That's always the start. It then leads to anti-capitalism, because America is the capitalist power, anti-capitalism. Then they come always with the anti-Israel thing, which is always anti-Semitic, yeah? And then they go into this kind of nationalistic hyperbole, calling the injustice against Serbia, in the past against Germany, against Russia now. And this injustice narrative, yeah, like they would strangle us, the Americans, the Anglo-Saxons, and then this injustice narrative comes always then with this, we must remedy the injustice, we must take the land, Ukraine or Bosnia or Kosovo, whatever they must in the moment take, and then there are some people who live there. Yeah, that's a problem, we can fix it by genocide. That's the Putin's way, that's Milosevic's way, that was Hitler's way. That what was unfortunately Mr. Vucic is not really clearly distancing himself. I don't claim he is genocidal, but I think he has leanings in that way. If he would, I'm not sure if he would not try it. And many of these people in that line of socialist anti-Americanism, protectionism, xenophobia, they are ultimately then, okay, if they have the means and the power and they feel that the world is unfair, so I have to defend myself, so I have to kill people and kill peoples. And that's exactly the underlining where Peter Handke comes in, because he is the mastermind of all this anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, anti-Westernism, and then they create the kind of ideological bed in which the nationalists can thrive, and they come back then as genocidal people. And then he came to the funeral of Milosevic, and it's not a coincidence he did that. Yeah? And it was not a coincidence he came here and he decided to stay in this hotel of the rapists, and that's exactly how these people are. And of course, when I say that, they will say, oh, he's probably a Nazi, oh, because that's about the level of discussions they are able to do. Yes, this is now Bratunovac. I will go to that beautiful place, and I will not just wash my car. That's also important after my little adventure at the Eastern Twin River Valley, which I really think we should do something, because it's not good enough. We need to understand here where to go. Okay, thanks a lot from Bratunovac. I will keep you posted, and more to come from Pax Europiana. Bye.